Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is finally over, and it went out with the saddest whimper imaginable. Grind for XP, kill Brainiac, PowerPoint presentation, the end. No big build-up, no crazy finale, no fanfare for our accomplishment, and literally nothing of consequence happening across this entire game. So we're all just left asking, what was even the point?
Hey, Suicide Squad! Fuck you!
Suicide Squad is a game where nothing happens. You could remove this game from existence and absolutely nothing of consequence would change. Because you see, the goal of this game is for the Squad to kill the Justice League, as I'm sure you could imply from the name. So, during the initial campaign, that is exactly what happens. You kill the Justice League. However, it's revealed after the fact that you didn't actually kill the Justice League, because the Justice League that you killed were actually clones. So instead, during all the DLC, it's our job, for some reason, to rescue the Justice League. So we go ahead and rescue the Justice League. And after we've rescued the Justice League, we get what Harley calls a perfect happy ending, where the Justice League atones for their clones' crimes and fixes up Metropolis like nothing ever happened. So everything goes back to being all hunky-dory sunshine and rainbows, because we didn't actually kill the Justice League, which means that literally nothing that happened in the main story mattered at all.
Well, we only went and did it, you bloody beauties! We killed Superman! Hell, we murdered the whole Justice League!
So how'd we figure out Brady had cloned the League? We were like, there were clones?
You could take out everything that happened in the main story and nothing would change. The only consequence of this story playing out is that Brainiac is no longer a threat. Tim Drake might have been killed by Bruce, but that can easily be retconned away with a scene saying he survived, and Wonder Woman is dead.
It should have killed him.
That's it. Those are the long-term consequences of this year-long gaming experience that I paid $100 to get early. This entire story is pointless, except for the needless death of Wonder Woman. Wasn't this game supposed to be woke as hell, Sweet Baby Ink?
Barry! Please, tell me how.
And yet the only one who ends up dying in it is the only, and might I add, best female hero?
I swore an oath to never strike anyone in anger. You four are seriously testing my resolve!
And she died such a pointless death that could have been avoided if she just listened to us. And I hate that I'm saying that that's the solution, because this team is full of complete and utter imbeciles, and I would use a much stronger word to describe the Suicide Squad, but I like keeping my monetization intact.
You ignorant buffoons should consider yourselves nearly as intelligent as a retarded monkey.
Look, stories where bad things happen but everything ends up going back to the status quo are fine. They're the basis of most superhero media. See Arkham Asylum. But when the main story was intended to be something as drastic as killing the goddamn Justice League, I would have preferred if things just stayed changed. I would honestly respect this game so much more if they just committed to the title and actually had us kill the Justice League for real.
You have to kill us, Diana. We have to die to save the world.
Because at least then we wouldn't have this absolute floundering of trying to put everything back together in the most incomprehensible way imaginable. Hell, when it was just base game with no DLC in sight, I did respect the game a lot more because it looked like we actually killed the fucking Justice League and did what the title said. But of course, with the DLC, we now just have this thrown together slop that only makes sense when you look at it through a very thin magnifying glass. And speaking of the DLC, I'm still so confused what the point of any of those characters even were. They don't get any screen time outside of their introductions, including during the finale slideshow. They all had their reasons to join the squad, and yet those reasons are basically left behind when we get to this ending. Why were they even given story stuff if they didn't have any impact on the actual story? Fantastic! We now have a new Joker running loose in this world who is capable of causing so much more chaos than the original thanks to all of his wacky gadgets. Isn't that great for Batman, who was so relieved when his Joker kicked the bucket? Mrs. Freeze isn't going to be getting her wife back anytime soon. If this world's Freeze couldn't figure it out in 10 years, what chance does she have? And she also has far more impressive technology than Victor, so get ready for an absolute menace on your hands, heroes. Lawless is a rowdy teenager who doesn't see anything wrong with her actions, so is most likely going to be taking on hit jobs just like her dad to see him in prison. And Deathstroke?
What?
Okay, he gets a pass because he's already from this world, but the point stands. Why did we bother recruiting all of these fools if their stories weren't even going to be wrapped up in this finale? Hell, by the story's own logic, the DLC characters contributed nothing to any part of the story. None of them show up in the finale. It's retconned to be the original squad no matter who you choose to bring to the fight. So, aside from Slade killing 2 Brainiacs on his own time, what did any of these characters even do? Literally, all that's happened by recruiting them is the League now has more awful foes to contend with. But it doesn't sound like they even have a problem with that, as they just let them go live their lives in various Elseworlds. Fantastic, bring death and destruction to a bunch of other people that you don't know. Great job, Justice League, we very much appreciate you.
The sprays of blood, the smell of singed hair, the viscera. Oh, the viscera.
And oh boy, is this finale something.
Really?
Yeah, something awful. Oh, I'm hilarious. Who could have seen this coming? Our final battle with Brainiac is just repeats of the Justice League fights. But, and I will give this the tiniest bit of credit, we actually fight all 3 of the final Brainiacs back to back, and we fight them alongside Flash and Green Lantern. So it's still not great by any means, but it was at least a unique final encounter, all things considered. That said, it's still just fighting Flash, Lantern, and Superman again, but with a different character. Wonderful. But oh boy, when you land that finishing blow, they could not have given us a worse conclusion to the fight. A glorious slideshow narrated by the one and only horrible Harley Quinn, explaining away how the League came together to finish off Brainiac, and the squad oh so casually escaped custody by disarming their neck bombs, and it's such a wonderfully happy ending where nothing could go wrong. How wonderful that literally nothing matters!
Suicide Squad out!
You're telling me that Batman and Superman were able to escape entirely on their own, but just didn't for the entire game's runtime? And that Batman was capable of knocking out Brainiac with a single punch now and not before? Seriously, why couldn't he have done this before the League got brainwashed? And the big send-off reward for completing this death-defying mission that somehow even the Justice League couldn't pull off is just pulled straight out of every Mario game. We literally close out our adventure with a "Thank you so much for playing my game" postcard and a big wall of text saying our adventure is complete. How much more lazy could you possibly get with this ending? The sad part is that you can tell how quickly they threw this finale together when they wanted to do something more. In case you weren't privy to the information back in like season 2, I think, Episode 8 was not going to be the end of this game. There was originally going to be one more episode in a 5th season to wrap the story up, with a final battle against Brainiac with the entire Justice League at our side. That, however, was the one piece of game they hadn't finished prior to launch, and after the, let's just say, unexpectedly cold reception of the base game and first few episodes, WB realized that it wouldn't be worth investing in the extra content to be made. So just had them rework Season 4 into the patched together mess of a finale that it is today. Batman and Superman probably had more in-depth cutscenes that needed to be scrapped because the game simply wasn't profitable enough. This is truly one of the most depressing cases of the suits up top thinking they know what's best for the company and running the poor devs through the dirt time and time again for over a year straight. If there's one thing you can take away from this video, please stop blaming Rocksteady for this. They didn't want this. If they did, everyone would have gotten a lot more respect in the end.
One of the world's finest heroes. Snuffed out by this.
And you're next, asshole.
So, that's the end of it. The massive failure that is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is finally over. And frankly, good riddance. They almost had something here, but literally every critical decision that formed this game was taken over and casually asswiped to turn it into something that ultimately meant nothing. Let us all hope that this is merely a minor bump in the road for this series, and we find the stride that held it on top of the world for the better part of a decade soon enough. Rocksteady, WB, I know you aren't watching this, but please go back to what you're good at. Let Camouflage handle the prequel era games and make a sequel to Arkham Shadow while you guys go back and dig up that concept work for the Arkham Beyond game. Okay? Okay. Leave Suicide Squad and live service games as a whole behind us. And let's have ourselves a much better next few years in the DC Games universe.
Don't you love a happy ending?
All that said, this is still a better game than Gotham Knights. See you later, chaps!
You want a high five?
Know what, Quinn? I do. Up high.